Yo, what's good, team?
What's up, man? Good morning.
Good morning, broski.
Let me see, make sure I got my recording set up, good to go.
Hey, yo, Soka's here now. Let's go.
Yo, what up, Joe? How's it going?
Yeah.
Yo, what's good, my guy?
I saw your DM, by the way. I haven't had time to look at the latest one. It's been kind of a
No,
crazy
it's
couple
up.
of days, but I'll check it
It's
out.
fine, bro. I saw you on X. You were busy, super busy.
Yeah, man. So we'll let this fill up just a little bit here, and we can just chat kind of while that's happening. So real
Yeah,
quick,
sounds good.
yeah, what I think made sense here is we were talking with the team a little bit, and you know, obviously we're trying to push hedge in the appropriate direction, and the markets are starting to come back. Like Bitcoin, I didn't check it today yet, but last night it was sitting like 67.
68K right now.
Oh my god, dude! Hey, look, it's gonna run, and so just positioning hedge to capture some of that, and we have some ideas, and we wanted to share with the community, and also like some ways to just continue to advance the community sentiment within hedge, and also take some questions because I know that there's been some big moves from the team. Obviously, there's a marketing agency that was brought on. Obviously, myself has been brought on, so we can talk a little bit about like what my thoughts are for the project, what my expectations are, what I think my responsibility is to kind of help this thing get where it needs to and where it can get to, and the structure as well, so that everyone's on the same page, super transparent, aware of like, you know, here's what it looks like, here's what at least we're trying to do, here's what we're working on. um, and then I also wanted to spend some time talking just like cool community building things, because one of the best components, I know every project says it, but for real with hedge, it's really about like the content, it's really about the community, you know, that's like where it was born. And so making sure that we're still um, like kind of leaning into that past, I think is going to be really important for not only the community that we have now, but also as we build out the community, as more people come in. um, I think that's going to be super important. So that's more of some of the things that I kind of wanted to touch on today. And obviously, if there's anything that anyone else had a question or thoughts, you guys can throw it in the Telegram, and we could talk about it. But it's kind of just setting the table for what we're going to discuss here, and hang out.
Sounds good, man.
Yeah, sounds amazing. Really good
And
introduction. And then I think we have Crypto the Kid here as well. Yeah, yeah. I really want to ask him how's the
no shit.
no pooing thing going. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
am recording this, by the way, just so everyone knows.
Oh, you're recording it. Okay.
We can post it on YouTube or whatever if people can listen to it.
Yeah.
It's no shit talking.
No shit talking.
Perfect. And also, if there's questions, that potentially, I'm not necessarily aware of, or I don't know the answer to, we'll take them offline. I'll just take a note, and I'll try to track them down. I saw one question already in there that's asking if there will be refreshments. I can tell you there's probably not going to be refreshments in the digital voice chat, but you know what? Hey, if send an address, we'll send you some croissants, some marmalade, man. We'll make it beautiful.
I can give
Yeah.
you refreshments personally if anyone wants some personal refreshments.
I got my morning coffee.
I got my
Coffee.
water and some ice cubes.
Hey, water's where it's at.
Bro, I don't understand. I can't do coffee, bro. Like, I literally can't unless it's iced. I think I've never ever drinking anything hot in my life except for a hot chocolate, maybe.
You eat soup?
No, I don't really like soup. No.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm kind of with you on that, honestly. I like iced coffee.
Bro, iced tea, iced coffee, anything iced, bro. Even if it's freezing outside, which it is right now in the UK, ice drinks all the way.
Yeah, it's a cold morning here too. It's 43. Well, Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in Celsius, but it's cold for Atlanta.
You'd be cooking Celsius.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think you're dead, but I think it's hot. I don't really know. Ugh. Sorry, I've not slept much. So if I yawn, not
Oh,
because I'm
you're on the
hungover.
West Coast, right?
West Coast, yeah.
Yeah, it's early for you.
A little
I'm
bit
kind of
early.
impressed at the turnout until now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got some people up in here. All right, well, cool. I mean, hey, we got almost 30 people. Let's dive on into it. So I think a good place to start is,
Wait, guys. People are
go ahead,
saying
go
they
ahead.
can't hear anything in the chat.
Uh-oh. Why can't I hear anything? Anyone talking? No. Okay, wonderful. Maybe I'm gonna
I
leave
think
the
it's
voice chat and come back.
all right.
They
I
can't
think
hear
it might
anything,
be
so
them.
I'll have to. Oh, okay. Maybe they need to take a lap. It's not just X.
Oh, it's fine, yeah.
Okay. Maybe
JB's in like the jungle, so I don't know if he probably has bad reception.
Now's our time to talk about JB then, before he
Yeah.
figures it out. All right, cool. While they're kind of sorting through their, audio issues, which trust me, man, I get that. I live on X where there's audio issues about every space with someone, literally 100% of the time. I think it's a good opportunity for. I'll just kind of like talk a little bit about, I won't go too much into my background. I'll just kind of say some of it, but talk a little bit about, my conversations with the team that led to this partnership, which I think is obviously going to be very, very powerful and very fruitful. And I'll give kind of some thoughts as to why. So the first time I ever heard about Hedge was way back in the day on the Meme Coin Mania Trav Lab spaces that I was hosting with Trav. And sorry about the background noise. I'm going to be off this busy street here in a second. But so I heard about Hedge, and you guys ran up. Like the unlock story component was really cool. I think you guys were sitting at sub 5 mil. I want to say like 3 or 3.5 mil when I first heard about you guys. And then, obviously things progressed. Hedge was doing really well. And, in parallel, I was off doing my thing and just, really grinding the streets, just like probably many of you. And, I was really focusing on content creation and spaces hosting and connections and all those fun things. Really just not with any real end goal other than to just find bags that I could buy and sit on for this pool run that I felt good about. And so I had an opportunity to talk to, the Hedge team. I forget now how many weeks ago. Maybe it was 3 weeks ago. And the conversations were great. Like the team super buttoned up. I talked to hundreds of teams. And on that Meme Coin Mania space, I heard thousands of pitches. Literally, we heard like 10 pitches a day, every day for however long. And the Hedge team is super buttoned up compared to many of the other teams. That's no FUD at any other team or any other project, of course. But like, I'm telling you, when I'm evaluating teams and communities, there's not very many projects that I even work with. It's Ponky, Moo. I'm like dabbling with some other teams that's like not full blown partnerships yet, like Nero on ETH, which I get. There's like the come ball component, but I'm running spaces for them, and they have a cool team as well. Jinin, which is a very similar team to the Moo team, and then Hedge, and there's Paw as well, but that's like a more utility token. It's a little bit different. So the thing that really drew me to Hedge beyond the fact that I like understood the content and things like that, that is really cool, was just talking to the team about what their plans were. We spent maybe 5 or 6 hours over the course of a couple of days talking. They answered a lot of questions. They asked me a lot of questions. They grilled me on like what I thought I could provide, how I thought I could help. And then at the end of the day, I was really impressed with the team. The team was impressed with myself. And so we structured a deal that just makes sense. I'm working with hedge, and at certain market caps, I'm gonna get not even crazy unlocks on you know what we're talking. I'd have to go back and look exactly at what it is and exactly what those market caps are. But we're talking like 50 mil market cap, 100 mil market cap. So the thing that's beautiful about that, and this is something that I've always believed in, is if you're going to be working with a project and you're going to be working with a community, you want to have something where the thing that I hated, again, everyone influencers get, and again, I don't even know if I like to say influencer. I like to create content that works and is beneficial for a lot of people. But the reason why they get, the bad rap is because they deserve it sometimes. They structure a lot of deals where they get all this money, they get all the supply, they dump it on the community, they take what they can and they get out of there. And that is so disgusting. I hate it all. And so that's why structuring something where there's kind of these unlocks at 50 mil and 100 mil, I think makes sense. It works for me because if we get to 50 mil, then everyone's pretty happy at the first point. And then secondarily, if we can get to 100 mil, everyone's probably going to be pretty happy again. And that really helps to align interests where I'm incentivized for sure to support hedge and to make sure that I'm doing what I can to make it work. And guess what? If it doesn't get there for whatever reason, it's not like I'm going to run away with this big bag of cash. I'm in the same boat as you guys, trying to run it to 50 mil. That's like literally the first unlock and milestone. And so, I think that my expectations of hedge really are that 100 million plus range, especially as Bitcoin's sitting at 68. Things are pumping. I know it's not pumping for hedge right now, but the way that these work, I've been on the Ponky team for a long time. It really does have to cook for a while. Some projects, I get it. It could be tough. You sit there, you see Moodang. I always bring up Moodang now because it was like the flash in the pan.
Yeah.
But like you see Moodang and you're sitting here in this community grinding it super hard. The team's working, and I get it as a community member. I've been there where you're like, what's happening? Like, how could this stupid baby hippo be at 300 mil? It just started 3 days ago. Are we not doing enough? Are we not doing the right thing? Like, it's super easy to kind of get caught up in some of that. But I'm telling you, from Ponky's side, dude, we sat at like 30 mil forever. It was the longest side. I mean, it launched December and it ran up to like 5 mil pretty quick, based on like a lot of KOL support. And then it sat and sat and sat. And then it made a leg up and then it made a leg back down. But it was a newer low. So everyone was kind of happy. And then it took forever. And then it shot up. And then, by the way, it was sitting at, 22 cents, 23 cents this latest drawdown before it shot back up to 40 cents with the Kraken listing and the KuCoin listing. So like these are big projects that have a lot of money for animations, that have a lot of money already spent for KOLs, and they sat for months and months and months. And if you look at the hedge chart, it's had actually a decent run here, and we're consolidating now at a much higher market cap than we were 2 or 3 months ago. And I get we want like kind of this fast growth, but really what we're trying to build is something sustainable that we can achieve and attack these higher market caps, because there's things that you can do that are kind of like quick wins, and they might pump the market cap $3 million, but they're very, very, very short-sighted, and the drawdown will be violent. It comes right back down to wherever it was before that marketing initiative hit. And our goal, and especially how like the incentives are structured for me, and again, I'm not the only person. The team has plans, the community will have input, and we'll kind of discuss what some of these things can be. But for me, I want to set something up sustainable so that we can attack that 50 mil market cap as fast as we can. But we can't attack it from 10 mil. We can't attack it from 12 mil. Like, you have to kind of slowly let it cook and slowly let it kind of build up. And the biggest piece of that is going to be how we engage the community while the team is building some things on the back end. So that, I think, is a good stopping point there to kind of just get some thoughts, get some feedback. Maybe if people have questions. I'm not looking at the Telegram chat yet, so I don't know if Habibi Joe and Cine, because I'm outside, so I'm on my phone. I'm kind of off in the Netherlands, probably bothering a lot of these people because it is early. But that might be a good place to stop. And again, if there's questions, we'll definitely answer them. But Habibi Joe, Cine. I don't know if you guys had thoughts, comments about any of that.
When did you
I
when did you get like heavily involved with Moo and Ponky? Like what market caps?
So Ponky was April of this year, and they were at 17 mil, I want to say, something like that. And I was actually originally just doing data work for them. So they were trying to get listed on some tier one exchanges, and I have a pretty extensive corporate and Silicon Valley background. And so when they're trying to go get tier one exchanges to look at their project, they needed a PowerPoint deck presentation, whatever you want to call it, to be able to deliver to those tier one exchanges. And they're all of them. Look, I mean, everyone's going to be trying to send decks to the biggest one. Presentation, not a dex like a decentralized exchange, a deck like a PowerPoint presentation to send to these projects. And so my first interaction with them was not through, hey, you're this person who can create content and help us build a community. It was very specific. This is back when I had like 100, 200 followers, and we were just chilling, hanging out. It was for data to be able to present, and the data that I presented was essentially like, look, the growth rate of Ponky on social and the positive sentiment that it's able to drive and deliver, it's equivalent to some other bigger market cap projects. And so if you were to list Ponky on your exchange, it would come through with a lot of very positive excitement because the community's big. The amount of social engagement that they're able to derive, not just on X, but on TikTok and Instagram, is significant. And then the main point that we went after was these tier one exchanges on like earnings calls and things like that for projects that are public in the US. They're talking about trying to onboard more women into crypto. And a good way to do that is if the crypto project actually has some type of influence on Instagram. It indexes a little bit heavier in women than X. X is just a bunch of dudes, which is, it's fine. Everyone can be where they're at. But if you're a crypto exchange looking to get access to women, well, you're going to want to go to the social media platforms where they exist. That was my experience with Ponky. I think it was around 17 mil. I don't know why that number's sticking in my head so much. It's like such an exact number, but I think it's something around there. Maybe it was 30, something like this. And that was my experience with Ponky. And then as we grew, then I just started running daily Ponky spaces for the Ponky community. And that's helped grow that community quite a bit in a variety of ways. We started the PFP project with StormX. That's the PFP that I'm rocking here and on X. And then Moo was April, May, maybe June. What are we in? October? June, I'd say. Around June, I started working more directly with Moo. They really wanted to kind of start pushing their project forward in a more significant way. And they had like a lot of supply and they had a lot of money, and they were just looking for ways to kind of, was burning a hole in their pocket. And so we talked a lot about things that we could do, ways that we could potentially help each other. And I want to say that their market cap was at maybe 40, 50 million. And then, the work that I was doing, obviously I'd like to say it helped, but really what happened was a whiff whale, which everyone always talks about, actually a whiff whale.
Kurang mantap iku.
It rotated.
Kurang mantap begini. Patut tayo.
Mute. That is.
Yeah.
They had a whiff whale rotate $2 million in a single clip in the moon, and it ran it up to like 300 mil, or I mean, technically it was like 800 mil, but you know how that goes. The chart said 800, but no one got it at 800, and then it came back down, and sitting around 1 to 130 today. So that's what happened with Ponky and Moo. And really, they had catalyst, man. That's like the big thing. You had a huge buy on the chart, and it shot it up 200%, and then everyone was talking about Moo for that time when the whiff whale rotated. And then Ponky just generates so much engagement with like their animations and their GIFs that are on like Tenor and stuff like that. That's a project that is lining up Catalyst, but the reason why it's able to do so well is because it captures so much attention on these platforms that whenever anything good happens for them, the word gets out. And so that's something similar that I think we can do with Hedge, and which is why it's been so beautiful. Like yourself, Cinna, Habibi Joe. I've seen Hedge Hodler. I've seen a couple other people who jump up on stage on Twitter Spaces and are able to kind of talk about the project. It's really good because having community members do that as catalysts come out, things that like are positive for the project. It doesn't even have to be anything crazy. It doesn't have to be like a KuCoin listing. It could be anything. It could be a big influencer interacted with the project or bought some supply or made a nice comment or look at this cool piece of content that the Hedge team put out. Anything. We're able to then deliver that message out to the people who might not know about Hedge much more efficiently and much more quickly, and that helps bring new eyeballs to the project and new people to the Telegram. And I think that that's something that Hedge can reasonably pull off, and why I'm excited about obviously where Hedge can get to.
Yeah, same here.
I also had a question, and I heard you say that Punk was like stuck at the 13 million market cap for a long time. We've been stuck maybe, or not stuck, but like we've been bouncing from the range from 12 to 18 million for a couple weeks now. What do you say to like most of the people in here that are like, I don't know, getting impatient or they just can't handle the weight no more?
Yeah, I mean, look, dude, I get impatient too, trust me. So my first comment to those people is I get it. No one likes this sideways chop. No one likes the slight downtrend. The nature of charts are such that as you run up, there's always going to be the people who, and this is no shade to those people, I understand it, but there's always going to be the run up. There's always going to be people who are taking profits, which, healthy profit taking, there's nothing wrong with that. But then there's also the people who maybe are like, okay, well, we hit 18 mil. It's a new all-time high. Again, that's not a new all-time high here because I think that the all-time high is very close to 25 mil for Hedge, right? Is that?
It's
at 30.
30.2.
Oh,
right
geez. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I understand the people, how charts work for people who don't maybe study as much TA and stuff like that. Which with memes, again, I mostly focus on socials, but TA is reasonable for a few different reasons. But like, there's a run up, there's some profit taking, and then there's people who are like, okay, I want to see this get back to all-time highs, or it's kind of hard to like believe it, and then they start selling. And what's going to happen is you're going to have this kind of a consolidation or accumulation period where people are loading up on the project, and the longer it sits that consolidation of the accumulation period, it's almost like everyone who's watching the price obsessively, I know we all do it, the people who are watching the price, they will actually get more comfortable with the price at that point. That's when we talk about floors being created. That's how the floor is created. It's people buying at the accumulation zone where they're like, okay, I don't think we're going back to, taking Ponky for the example. When we ran from 30 to 300 mil over the course of time, it wasn't just like a straight shot at the 300 mil. It went to like 80 mil and retraced. And then we set a new floor at 50 mil. And everyone kind of looked around and said, wait a minute, is 50 mil, are we good then? We're not going back down? Okay, all right, let's buy. And then it ran up to whatever it was, 110. And then it retraced back down to 75. And everyone kind of looked around and said, all right, is 75 good? Are we holding here? Are we going back to our previous low? Are we going back to more lows? So that's like the psychology and what you're actually looking for when you're charting and doing TAs. You're trying to understand what those points are. So I think that the thing that I would say to people who are maybe getting impatient is, I get it. I'm impatient too. This is meme coins, man. And it makes it even harder when you look around and you see other projects that just launched hitting 300 mil. And it's frustrating. But as you can tell, those projects aren't really sustainable. Like, I mean, some of them make it. Nero CTO, look at that. It's making it happen. It got a Binance listing. Like, of course, there's going to be things and components that happen where, sure, if Hedge gets a Binance spot listing, yeah, I think that we'll have a nice little run, right? But I understand the impatience. I get it. It's normal, especially in meme coins. But what I would say is that it does take some time. And what you want to do is you just want to keep building the community and keep building behind the scenes. And then eventually it'll have its day in the sun and it'll attack the next leg up. And then it'll create a new floor on the retrace. And you just want to do that a few more times. Like to get to 50 mil, I don't think that we're doing it in one shot. We might, but like an actual, that's like kind of hoping for something to really catch fire and go viral. Where what we really want to do is just keep building something sustainable to break out of this and get to that all-time high, like 25, 30 mil, let it hang out for a little bit, let the retrace happen. And then hopefully the retrace hits like 20 mil. And now we have a new floor at 20 mil, which is a crazy retrace, right? If we went from 30 mil to 20 mil, you're like, oh my God, we're going way back down. That's just how.
Oh, I think you're cutting off, Soka.
Lost him.
Yep, definitely lost them.
Yo, what's up, guys? I'll take this as a moment to hop in. How's everybody doing?
Good, man. How are you?
That's good, Crypto.
I'm
Yo,
doing
so
good,
Crypto
man.
the
I'm
Kid,
doing
maybe a question for you. So we've got like, I think 36 people in the voice chat right now, and from what I see, the raise that we hit, they hit around maybe like at all-time high metrics of like 15 when we're doing them on the regular. Do you want to just explain to people why raiding is like so important, and being a part of it really does help the overall goal?
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of raiding. I try to help raid as much as I can on the various projects that we work closely with. One in particular that's doing a very big raid campaign at the moment is Jinin. And I know you guys raid really hard every day, but the biggest thing is this is what gets eyes. And I know that Hedge has really started out on Reddit. I'm not a Reddit user. I know Habibi Joe and Cine want me to get on board onto Reddit, and I'm thinking
You're
about
getting on board. I'm getting you there one way or another.
I might just do it. I don't know. The thing is, like at my old age, I'm in my late 30s, and so like when I
Old
hop
age,
onto these
motherfucker.
bro, that's literally prime age for a male,
Yeah.
bro.
No, trust me, I'm in prime age, but when I'm in here with all you guys, I feel like I'm an old man. But like all these social media
calling me a
things,
Zoomer, bro.
all these social media things, like I just figured out right now today in this voice chat that I could listen in on this voice chat, I could talk, and I could type at the same time. I could do all these things. So it's just a learning curve for this old man. I the idea of hopping onto Reddit and trying to learn how that works, it intimidates me. So I'll need my handheld. But the thing about rating, especially on crypto Twitter, is we know that the traffic and the volume that's on Twitter, and we know that that's somewhat untapped for Hedge. Hedge was birthed from Reddit, and it got its notoriety from Reddit, and then it came on, and Soka mentioned that he found it in the meme coin mania days with Trav Lad. But the reality of the situation is a lot of people are going to be onboarded, in my personal opinion, later on in the cycle through TikTok. But right now, as retail comes back into the space and interest is peaking, and there are a few metrics that we can see where this is happening. I like to look at YouTube views. I like to look at Google searches and stuff like that. And we're starting to not necessarily see that people are interested again in crypto with their Google searches, although they're up. They're not up significantly. But the significant thing that's up is like these larger influencers that create content, their participation and their videos, those are upticking. So that means if they're creating content because they've got a need. They know that the market's coming back, and they know that they're going to be front running with their content, retail coming back into the space. And when retail comes back into the space and they're interested in memes, they're going to be looking at Twitter. They're going to be on Twitter. So rating is a way for everybody to get involved with the project, to push and work for and pump your bags, because it just gets as many eyes. And eventually, whether it's an influencer you're rating or whether it's just rating in general on posts, people are seeing that. You know, one of the things that I like to employ is rating the comment section on spaces, especially spaces that, you know, you've got somebody up there speaking, because I see that as well. But rating is super crucial. And then there was a question just a minute ago in the Telegram that I saw. I want to go back to it if I can find it.
I am back also, Crypto the Kid. I finally have gotten
Okay.
reconnected. We're here.
Cool. Where was it? Somebody had a great question.
Was it the question about they have a lot of holders on X? And
Yeah.
how do you keep, So that's a good question for sure. So do you have it in front of you? Do you want to read it? And then we'll kind of discuss that, because that's a great one to discuss.
We have over 20,000 followers, but around 7,000 holders. So 20,000 X followers. How do we onboard more people from socials without constant giveaways? How do we get them further invested financially and as a member? So that's from JB. And I think that's a solid question. I'll just chime in really quick because I know you're going to have some thoughts on this. The biggest thing for me is repetition in the space. And if we look at what's happened, we're looking at it from this prism of like the last 6-7 months have been down. It's been trending down and consolidating down, but the overall market's been down. And when Bitcoin has these erratic moves where it goes, you know, dips 20% or whatnot, obviously it's you know, dire for memes and alts and all that stuff. So people have just been in capital preservation mode. I think the smart money, the investors, the people that you actually want investing in your project because they know how to trade, they know how to invest, they've been very cautious with their money because they've experienced all these things. They know, okay, I'm looking at the chart, and although I do believe that this is a bull flag and we're in a bull market, the chart, playing the chart in front of me, is telling me right now to be cautious. The chart in front of me is telling me to be safe. The chart in front of me is telling to protect my risk management strategies, implement those, and protect my assets. What we're seeing right now, literally in the last, we saw a little bit and got a taste of it at the end of September, but what we're seeing in like the last few days is fully shifting. We've now cemented a second higher high off of a second higher low. The trend is now shifted upwards, and historical patterns. I don't know how much of a genius Satoshi was or not, if he could predict all this crap, but it looks like it's just playing out like previous cycles all the way through and through. So, you know, if we see Bitcoin hit all-time highs, we know that memes are going to move with Bitcoin first, faster than alts. And then as that Bitcoin dominance breaks down, more money is going to come into alts, more money is going to go into the meme space, and everything's going to fly. So overall, what I'm looking at is it's great that we have 20K followers, because that's 20,000 eyes that are going to be, you know, especially if we're rating out there and we're doing things, they're going to be bull posted by Hedge. They're going to see it. They're going to recognize it. And if they're following it, again, that's like, oh, I'm following this for a reason. And so it's just going to translate into holders and investors organically. And I feel like what I'm seeing in the market and the pattern that I'm noticing is, now that the market is coming back, you're seeing a lot of money and a lot of big dollars invest into the top memes first. And then it's trickling down into the next tier of memes, and so on and so forth. So the value zone, as long as they see memes in the value zone that they have conviction for, they're going to let them sit there if they're at the lower tiers. And this, when I say the value zone, I mean memes that are in like the $10 to $60 million range, because these are memes for a lot of investors where they only have to put in, you know, a few $1,000s to have great potential. You know, like they can spread it across many different projects and have, this is where your 100x's are. This is where your 1000x potentials are. You know, if you're throwing 100K into WIF as an investor, you're banking on maybe like a 7 to 10x. But if you're throwing 10K into, you know, 10 projects at the 10 to $50 million range, you're banking that you've done your research, you've done your homework, and one of those or multiple of those are going to 100x for you. So again, it's all about risk management strategies. And as the market continues to go up, I think that 20K or the 20,000 followers on X, that'll translate into organic holders. And those are the holders that you want. You don't want people chasing the charts like they did with Mudang, because we see the retraces. Any fast growth always has a big retrace. So again, one that really quick, last one, Soka. One chart that I've been paying attention to the last like 10 days is Mini. I don't know if any of you know Mini, but it's gone on a massive run. And right now, the last like 24 to 48 hours, it's experiencing its pullback. And it's a healthy pullback. All of this is to be expected. But this is the type of price action that you'll see a project consolidate for months and months and months. And then there's some sort of catalyst that triggers it and sends it off, just like Soka mentioned Mumu earlier. So the point that we have eyes on the project, the point that we have followers on the project, the point that we have a marketing budget, and all the things that we know the team's doing, and the community is super active. I can go into so many telegrams and it's just crickets. The fact that every time I come into Hedge and headquarters and I just want to hang out and vibe, it's massive. So we're doing all of the right things. It's just a matter of time before that catalyst comes in and the chart sends off, and then euphoria begins. So I'll let you go, Soka, though.
Yeah, no, that's really well said, and I'll hit on it from a bit of a different angle, because everything that you said is for sure dead on with like markets and how some of these things work. But one of the things, I shouldn't say but I should say, and in addition to that, one of the things that I found, and again, I'll go back to Ponky, but also it works with Mumu. I mean, we did get kind of lucky with that whiff buy, which really put it on the map in a more significant way. But anything that you can do where the community is doing something that's like fun and engaging, where you're not so worried about, they call it working for your bags, which of course there's going to be a component of that, and everyone's got to kind of do what they can to work for their bags. Some people can jump on spaces, some people don't like to speak, some people don't want to speak, some people have full-time jobs. I understand these things, so it's not like you have to be on spaces daily and that's the only way that you can support. There's a lot of ways that you can support. But to me, if that term working for your bags, if while you're doing it, it's just fun because you're a part of the community and you're not even really focusing on market cap, which I get is an easy thing to say. And I do the same thing, man. I check my wallets 50,000 times. I'm that person. I get it. But like, if you're in a community that's super fun and engaging, then all of a sudden you're able to focus on things outside of market cap, and the market cap just kind of comes secondary. It'll come along, and you're not sitting there. I don't know if it's kind of like if you've ever heard the phrase, it's like watching water boil, and it's kind of like if you put water on the stove and you're cooking pasta, whatever, you put it on the stove and you try to start boiling it. If you sit there and watch it, it never boils. It like feels like it takes forever. If you watch the water try to boil, dude, it takes way longer, or at least it feels like it takes way longer than if you're off in the other room and the water just starts boiling and then you come back to it, right? It's the same type of idea with the community, especially if you don't want to have constant giveaways and constant, pressure to kind of get people in. What you're talking about then is really the community carrying some of that weight. And it's not like pressure on the community, but it's Habibi Joe's launching like a Valorant tournament. Super fun. That has nothing to do with market cap. It's just fun and engaging. That
I'm trying to, bro,
oh,
but it's so hard finding communities that are willing to join.
I've asked, man, and like here's the thing, like whether that works or not, who knows? But it's a good idea. It has nothing to do with market cap, and it's fun. The Ponky PFPs, that wasn't like a that the project said, oh, the developers or the KO, anyone said, do this. It really was just pretty organic. Like this guy Storm X, he made some PFPs. It started getting out there. People saw him on stage. He sent me one, which is cool. I floated him some soul for doing so, because obviously I think everyone's work should be, valued. And then it just kind of caught fire. And now you see these Ponky PFPs everywhere. The Hedgens NFTs, I see a lot of Hedgend PFPs out there in the streets, and like that's a fun thing as well. So this is something that I actually want to talk about, because I'll give an example of some things I was brainstorming, ways to really keep the community engaged and have some fun that's not really focused on market cap. And something like that would be leaning into the story driven content, the story driven component of Hedge. And something like, maybe if we had a weekly, whatever, Hedgend, whatever you want to call it, and they're the person who's in the Telegram, who's out there in the, being just a really good ambassador for the project, for the community. Again, nothing to do with market cap, because market cap's going to come after that. If you have people who are out there just proliferating the word of Hedge, eventually it'll come, and it'll be fun and engaging. But like, it's one of the ideas that I had is maybe that whoever that person was, then we could have, like, how obviously Hedge has their series and their content, their animations, and he's chasing Regina, whatever. Maybe we make like a personalized, just a single image asset, or maybe it's like a little mini comic for, like, a mini 3-frame comic for the person who is out there doing their thing. And like, that's a cool thing to keep the community engaged. It's not like a raw giveaway of, okay, here you can earn Hedge, you can earn NFTs, you can earn these things, which are cool for a component, but that would keep it pretty fresh. And it'd be kind of cool to be able to, deliver something like that to an individual who's out there in the community really grinding and doing good work. I would rather, and again, everyone's in a different financial situation for sure, but for me, I'd way rather have something cool and personalized made like that like I can kind of show and share and be like, dude, check this out. Look what Hedge just made for me. This is me as a little Hedge, and here's what I did. I saved Hegina or whatever, just like a little cool component. And that's something potentially that we've discussed. We've discussed ideas exactly like this with the team, and that's the one that I think is the coolest. I'd love to hear from the community, to hear if they had ideas of, like, it'd be really cool actually if we did this or if we did that. The Chuck community, which is a very tight knit community, who also, by the way, has trouble getting their market cap up. They're on base and there's just no volume there, but it's a massive community that's strong, and they have like people who make chocolate for the project and beer and energy drinks, and they're just, I help run some of their spaces from time to time. We actually have one today. There's no discussion of market cap. It's always just, hey, how's it going? How's the wife and kids? Everyone's just very much a community member, and that's just built, through time and consistency. So I do want to get, and maybe we can do it here, we can do it in Telegram, in a conversation, but like, I would love for us to get something tangible that we can deliver. I can help, Crypto the Kid can help with, obviously the team can help with, to deliver to community members where they feel like, what, why do I support Hedge? And yes, because we think it's going to 100 mil, of course, but also, well, there's these other cool components that go along with it that I don't get from other communities or other projects that set us apart. And that's a big way to answer the question specifically. How do you keep people involved without doing giveaways? That's how, is you make it so that spending time in Hedge is more fun than spending time anywhere else.
Yeah, it's a great point. Definitely have to cook up something like that. Be awesome.
Wait, actually, there's a guy in our community called Lou, and he's been 3D printing these like mini hedges, bro. They're so awesome. Like, I don't know if you've seen them, Soka and Crypto the Kid.
No.
Bro, they're so cool. Like, it's like Hedge in the shape of Deadpool, or like he looks like Deadpool, and he has like the two swords on his back, or like two like knives, and it's in the shape of like a green candle. It's all over Reddit, bro. It's so dope.
Dude,
Guys,
that is awesome.
Soka and Joe, if I can jump in just really quick, just to continue, Soka, your thought about having fun. Like, if I remember, I've been in from the beginning, so of course I remember, the run up to 30 mil and stuff like that. But the moments that I remember the most, I think about right now, listening to you guys, are the fun moments. Like, for example, there was one, I don't know, Joe, you remember, where everyone just pranked Joe and changed their name and PFP to Joe's PFP or something like this, and we were like cracking up for hours.
It was like
or,
whole
I mean, that
my
was a
God.
highlight. It was like literally the whole chat was just like, this is why there's still some Cardis in the chat still around, because there's a leftovers from that.
Joe's dad, Joe's uncle,
Joe's.
We were basically mobbing Joe for like the first half, like 3, 4, or 5 months of this project, and only recently he is allowed to step on stage, kind of. No, I'm just kidding. Like these are the moments that I remember the most, and I think this, like wherever this project goes, at the end of the day, I will be able to say that I was part of something good. And I think if more people think like this, it makes you, because I understand no one likes to. I mean, the rates are necessary, but no one likes to click them like 10 times an hour. But if you see it just with a grain of salt and just are here more for the fun, then as Soka said it so eloquently, the rest kind of follows. Like you don't just focus on the MC, you let the MC follow. That's I think what it comes down to at the end of the day.
That is amazing. Thanks for sharing that story, because yes, those are the exact kinds of things that really help to grow a community. These kind of just fun one-off things where it's not about obviously the market cap celebrations are fun, but that's amazing. Everyone's just trolling someone, having like some
Hey, bro, it's not that amazing, bro.
it was it's so funny. I love that. I mean, I could tell you, like, every community that I've been in, and probably there's people here that are parts of different communities as well. Like, you're gonna have a moment like Adam just described where you remember it and you're like, I remember when this happened. I remember going into the Moo community and having one of the mods moo at me. Like, that was the thing that I can remember. I was like, this is my introduction. I'm getting mooed at. What's happening here? And I just thought it was so unique and so funny. The Giga Chat, I went in and I was asking some questions and they're answering them, but I had to like honor system do push-ups in between. Just unique. It was cool. It was fun. It was like, a different introduction to a Telegram than I normally would get. So I think Adam is dead on, man. Sharing a story like that, it's like the perfect way to really introduce people to the project, bring them in, ingratiate them into the community, and make it a community where they're like, man, I'm in 50 communities. This one was really fun. I like this one that I was in, and that's a process.
Soka,
yeah.
What's your hedgehog impression? Let's hear your best hedgehog. What sound does a hedgehog make?
Oh god.
I could not even tell you what sound a hedgehog makes.
Bro, do you know I've never heard a hedgehog make a noise? I don't even know what noise it makes.
I would guess
Or
it's
like
like
a
little
gerbil, just
squeak.
like squeaks. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember?
would-
Sorry, do you guys remember the song "What Does the Fox Say"? I don't know if that was popular also
Oh
in
my
the
God.
US,
Yeah.
also, but it was very like. Maybe we should. I mean, I'm not a musician, but maybe we should do some "What Does the Hedge Say" kind of like, I don't know. I just was thinking about it. That would be actually a good idea.
Bro, I would give my impression, but I think I would get like memed again for another 3 or 4 months. So I'm just gonna stay quiet on this one.
No, that's actually a good one as well. I mean, like, we could have something where that, again, also like the giveaway type matters, in my opinion. I do some giveaways, and again, I'm not saying anything that I do is perfect ever, but I'm always trying to do new, unique content things. I don't really like doing the same thing that other people do. And so Hedge is unique as well. And I think that if there's a way to like shift it, and again, I'm not saying we have to do this, but if it's like, give us your best hedgehog impression and then you win something, that's very different than just like, just do this, and I understand that. Like, it's I mean, I even think that we're gonna have some cool things cooking for Hedge that Crypto the Kid might be able to talk about, or we're maybe going to talk about it and share it on a later Spaces, which I encourage you all to come to, of course, because we have cool Hedge stuff to drop. I think Crypto the Kid, and let me know if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I've seen all these things happening. But like, anything that we could do that's unique will always help catch the attention of people who are not necessarily holders. Like, there's two ways, and the way JB asked, it's really, really smart. In business, long ago, I learned there's only two ways to increase revenue. Only two. You either get new customers or you get the current customers you have to buy more or again, right? And so like there's two components to this. It's about getting the community members that we already have now to either increase their holdings or diamond hand. And then there's also a component of bringing new community members in with new injections of capital. And you really need both to be able to hit 100 mil. Like we're going to need the people who are here to believe in the project and believe in what the team's doing and believe in what, you know, we're all doing together and want to hold to 100 mil. And then you're going to need new people who are coming in to want to be like, this is a community that I like. This is a community that I vibe with. This is a community that I support, and to actually put their money where their mouth is and buy. So those are the things that I think make a lot of sense when you're talking about how do we get the community to show up and be happy and fun and have a good time without spending money on giveaways and things like that. Not even because like the money, like even if you had unlimited funds, like just doing giveaways constantly, it's not as cool as, I mean, Adam came up, what's the thing? He doesn't remember giving away Hedge or winning an NFT or something like that. Those are cool. I think those are really fun. No doubt. I love winning stuff. So I'm actually, I like those things. But the thing that he remembers was the trolling of Joe, which is really funny, right? So there's a component to that.
Hey, Soka, I have a question from the chat really quick that I think is interesting enough. And I know neither of us are liquidity experts, but we do have a little bit of knowledge on how market making works. But Colton is interested. Has anybody touched on the topic of liquidity? I'm curious how the other larger projects seem to have so much or much higher liquidity than 1 million. Does the team have a plan to address this? Or I know we don't know about that in particular, but I do think that we have a general idea of how the liquidity goes up on these projects. Do you want to tap on that? Because I'm thinking of market makers and whatnot.
Yeah. So in general, a liquidity to market cap ratio of like 10 to 20% is pretty reasonable. So I don't actually think that Hedge is anywhere off. It's a great question, but like if you go look at Mumu right now, Mumu's liquidity is much less, and that can be a blessing and a curse, right? When the market's going up, it allows your market cap to run a lot. It can run fast because the buy pressure will move the market cap, and that captures the attention on things like Dex Screener, Dex Tools, Trending, Twitter. Hey, look, man, I'm up 200%. That's really hard to do with a very thick liquidity pool. I mentioned Chuck earlier. Chuck has an extremely thick liquidity pool. The benefit of that is on the way down, it's very stable. Sell pressure doesn't really hurt the market cap as much, but it also can't move up as aggressively. So you can't bring attention to it. So usually projects try to sit at between 10 to 20%. 10% is on the lower end for sure, but there are some advantages to being able to have a lower liquidity to market cap ratio. And then really it's just about taking advantage of those advantages on the run up. Now, obviously, if you want to talk about market makers and things like that, it's something to discuss. Market makers, of course, will help you make a market with keeping that liquidity pool a little bit more stable, and also keeping the market cap a little bit more stable and going up. And it helps make the chart look good, and helps bring in volume. Like those things are all important. They do cost money, and you have to have the right one. I mean, you see Gotbit, like everyone's going to jail. So, you know, if you had Gotbit, might not be the best thing.
Yeah, and my thoughts on market making is like Soka said, there are pros to it, but there are certainly cons to it. And ultimately, if you're going to use a market maker, you want to make sure that you're going to take advantage of it, you know? And so it's not necessarily, I haven't personally had any conversations with the team where we've mentioned market making, because from my understanding, and I believe Soka would back this up, is we're more interested in community growth and community spreading the word through raids and all the various other aspects, you know. And then there's also like a lot of attention to detail, time, and effort was put into the NFT launch. NFTs generate hype, they generate cults if they're done right. And I think what Hedge did is they put so much energy, effort, focus into the NFTs, and the NFT launch went so well that not only did it help the marketing wallet itself, but I think it's just a good image. It's a good, like, kind of tool, hype mechanism, if you will, for the projects moving forward, you know. So it's just another area that we get eyes on it and whatnot. But in particular, or in particulars to market making, look, I don't want to say anything negative about any project or anyone, but I have my reservations about market making. And I think when you see these big projects take off, it's not an accident, but most of them at a certain point in time, I think we are in a conversation with another project, and a lot of these market makers and their contracts, you have to keep upping it, you know, every 6 to 8 weeks. It costs a lot of money on the back end that nobody really sees, in order to keep them going and keep it all moving in that upward trend. So again, it's not to say all of it's inorganic when you see on these big high cap projects, but a lot of it is behind the scenes, a lot of money being pumped in places where you wouldn't expect it and you can't really track it. So again, I think Hedge, it's set itself aside, or set itself separately than other projects through its community and organic growth. And I think we stick with that. Like, that's one of the things that Soka and I are both attracted to with Hedge, because a lot of those other big projects, I mean, the biggest projects, you don't see a lot of community in them. They've just got high market caps. You don't see people rating. You just see people feeling like, oh, this is high enough so I can keep my money safe there. Whereas the real community driven, the cult potential projects are the organic ones, you know. So those are my thoughts when it comes to market making and then liquidity pools and whatnot.
I just wanted to touch on one thing that Cooper the Kid said, that, you know, we're not, let's not go into it too much here, but maybe we can talk about it just because it's more interesting. But like, yeah, some of the things these big projects do to keep their market cap up are insane. And it's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just not at our disposal, because literally there's projects out there, and this isn't going to surprise anyone, where there's just like massive money from Saudi Arabia, from Dubai, that is funding projects, like teetering on money laundering, to be honest, to get a market cap high so they can like get money out of the project. Obviously, we can't do that. I mean, unless Habibi Joe is actually a you know,
Hey, bro, I've
a
got
crown
connections.
prince. Yeah, that's what
I've
I'm
got
saying. Okay.
connections, bro.
Well, then never mind.
My
I've solved all the
contacts
problems,
is
guys.
loaded.
I've solved all the problems, guys. Forget about the community. Habibi Joe's gonna get the crown prince
Don't
to
worry, guys.
inject a
Let's
couple bill into.
go.
Yeah, get me to 100 mil, and don't worry, I'll do the rest from there, boys. 1 billion's on me.
Hey, you heard it. He'll get us the rest of the way, man. We just got to get 10% of the way there. But and again, it's not bad, but there's a lot of smoke and mirrors. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors that happens, and the reason it happens because it works, but it's also expensive, like prohibitively expensive. Where if you're not funded by a VC, or you know, you don't have the backing of some very significant whales, like to the tune of multiple millions of dollars, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to pull that off.
Hey, that's awesome. I feel like
good.
we can go through some questions maybe from the community.
Please. Yeah, please do.
Let's go through the first one. So there's a question from Ivy saying, I think bringing in a raid team would be great to help out with raids and bring in more investors. What do you all think?
I think the raid team is definitely interesting. I mean, here's what I would say is I would say start it with the community and just say, hey, look, man, you guys, we're going to lock in on raiding for some amount of time, right? Like just try out a week. And we're going to target people, and we're going to have raid sessions, and we're going to do all these things. And then see what the reception is. See if it looks good. See if it feels good, because raid groups, of course, cost money. They're not crazy, but they'll cost a little bit of money. And if it's worth it, that's great, but you can kind of proof of concept it out a little bit more. I do like the idea of raiding generally, and raid groups, especially if you target, but like if you take the community that we currently have and you just target 3 influencers that you just want to go after, and you just spam them for a week, it'll get noticed.
I was just
For
about to ask you, yeah, do you think like targeting influencers, because basically what we do now is just like we have like we just go for any bullish tweet or like any crypto tweet and we rate it, or is it better to just like pick a influencer and really like hammer it out with that influencer?
I would focus on one influencer. Obviously, there's benefits to others, and again, the good thing is like you can try a lot of these things out, and just see how they go. You know, but I think that like consolidating resources is a good idea to target specific people.
I have a few thoughts on this topic because I personally, being in multiple telegrams on a regular basis, just so a little bit of background with Soka and I, how we work together. Soka does a lot of, he's on the phone a lot with conversations, and I try my best to hop into the community telegrams that with the communities and projects that we work closely with. And it's my personal experience that Hedge is one of the better communities when it comes to raiding. So I don't necessarily think that there is a raid team needed, because I think Joven and again, you, Joe, Cine, everybody in there, Hank, there's a lot of activity and there's a lot of good raids. And when you guys raid, you get good numbers. You get a good amount of likes, you get a good amount of comments and whatnot. I do think, like Soga just brought up, like targeting particular influencers and KOLs is a good call. I also do like the idea of consolidating into particular time windows. We know when the Asian market's open. We know when the European market's open. We know when the New York market opens. And we know when the West Coast wakes up. So there's 4 different times in a given day where we could strategize raids for whether it's a half an hour or an hour. So there's some potential there just to tighten it up and make it more efficient. And then another thing that I've noticed from really, really, really solid, strong cult-like communities, which is where I want, when I mentioned NFTs help make cults, Hedge did the NFT launch better than any other meme project that I've seen try to launch an NFT. So Hedge has already got the fundamental beginning to developing this cult-like community moving forward. And so what I see from some of these cult communities is they claim that it's organic. I don't necessarily believe that it's organic, but what will happen is one member posts something, whether it's an image or like a 3 or 4 or 5 word sentence, and then everybody else in the community does the same exact thing. So I can flush this out more in detail in the chat and whatnot, but essentially what we would do is just be like, we are all Hedgens. And then we go onto somebody's post, like some KOL's post, and everybody in the comments just comments separately, we are Hedgens.
So instead of like just rating the one tweet, it would just be all underneath each other on that influencer's tweet.
Exactly. And you raid all at the same time. So it's like everybody saying we are Hedgens. And they do silly things like that. It's like Mog is a master at this. So if you guys want to look at Mog, follow Mog, and take a look at how they approach some of their rating. It's very unique, and it serves somewhat like some of the bigger NFTs like DeGods, how it generates this cult-like mentality, and everybody wants to be a part of it. It's one thing to go see a single post underneath a KOL's comment for Hedge, and then you see that, oh, it's got 30 likes and 16 comments. That's cool. But how many times are people hitting the comments on the Hedge post and then looking down and seeing all the bullish things going on, or the other cool posts and the other cool memes and short vids posted there? Whereas more eyes get onto it on some of these projects, and it creates that vibe of like, oh, I want to be a part of this because these guys are all like, this seems like cult-like behavior. Like people don't even realize that it's cult-like behavior. They just see it and they're like, this is a club that I want to be a part of. You know what I'm saying? So we just have to get creative on doing like the taglines and whatnot, and then everybody has to be there in line to say it. you know? And sometimes it's not even rating posts. Sometimes it's just the biggest accounts that are on, for instance, Mog, the ones with the highest followers, like K Money. He'll post something and then the rest of the community goes in and raids him and comments underneath the exact same thing. They retweet it, they repost it themselves. And so all of a sudden you got, you know, I might not follow Habibi Joe, but somebody else follows Habibi Joe. And then everybody in their timeline, they're saying exact same thing, like we are Hedgens or whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? But it's the repetitious nature and it's the expanded out version of it that captures even more eyes. So that's one thing that I've noticed really in the last like week and a half, 2 weeks. I'm like, how can we implement something that's different? And obviously this would be kind of stealing off of what other projects have done, but I think it's an effective strategy. And why not? Like, you know, if somebody's pioneered something that's really great, like Ponky with all of their content, animation, and attacking other socials, well, there's nothing wrong with copying something that's super successful. And, you know, you got to sometimes look at these larger projects that actually have really strong communities, because those are the ones that we want to mimic. You know, we don't want to mimic the super large projects that have these dead communities. You know, that's just the reality situation, because you know that that's not real. You know, that's all propped up, like Soka said, with a bunch of money from various parts of the world. So those are just some of the ideas. And again, we can flush these more out in the Telegram, and we can just try things and see what sticks and what doesn't. But I think consistency is key. And I do think that the raids that are existing and the activity in the Telegram itself, I think you guys are doing a great job. Like, I'm not lying when I say that. Like, I'm not saying, there's obviously places we can do better, and I'm saying keep the throttle down, so don't pat yourself on the back. But, you know, I do think that Hedge and the community and the raids are pretty solid.
That's awesome, man. Thank you for your opinion. I think the next question actually kind of ties in perfectly. It's a question from Ander. I think that's how you pronounce his name. And it's, what organic ways of growing can we use besides paying calls, shilling, airdrops, or giveaways? So I'm guessing it's anything but raiding and yeah, calls on that.
Yeah, I think that we you know, talked about that a little bit earlier, and I think the summary is more or less, there's ways to raid. There's maybe things that we can do where it's not necessarily a giveaway, but it's just like honoring people in the community in fun ways. I really like the idea of leaning into the Hedge story content creation, where we take someone and we make a piece of content for them that's personalized as like a badge of honor. And I'm sure there's other ways as well. And I bet the community has some really good ideas. So definitely, you know, if you have a good idea, drop it. You know, the Valorant, I get it's tough, but it's cool, and it's a good idea. You know, so I think that those are all ways that we've already come up with here of opportunities to keep pressing without having to pay.
Yep. I just don't want to leave any questions unanswered.
No,
just
for
go through
sure.
them.
Thank you. I appreciate you. No, thank you. It's helpful.
We also have, I think, like, this question from Evo is basically, what do you guys think about buying the boosters on decks, and do you think they're worth it to maybe get Hedge on the front pages of decks and maybe increase volume and therefore move the market cap?
I actually think that those are worth it sometimes. I would try to pair it with some type of catalyst, like when the project is pumping. But those actually do have some reasonable ROI. It's not like a complete disaster. It's not like a slam dunk, but it's a good idea, and it's something to at least like consider if there's good catalysts to try to make sure that we're getting on that front page. And I want to say there's even people out there who will like use their network to make sure you get trending for like not very much. I have to go back and look, but there's definitely some ways that people, you know, people are smart. They have their little team who just goes and they keep spamming the emojis, and you pay them whatever $50 and they get you front page. It's pretty wild. So I'll look at that, but that's a good idea actually.
I agree with Soka on that one. Like, I think they're typically, when you see it most effective, it's when a catalyst has occurred and the chart's already pumping to some degree. and projects will utilize it to either continue the pump or kind of keep the pump going as it's dying down. Like they'll give it another leg up simply by using the trending. But I think the most effective use of such things is when an already existing catalyst is happening and the chart's already going green.
Amazing. Hope that answered the question. We have another one from Just Ryan. It's a big question and has a couple of likes on it. So we have a great community, but at times it seems like we're only a group of people are actively participating in raid chilling. Even if 200, 300 people in the Telegram group were online sometimes, we seem to struggle smashing raids. In the past, comps seem to boost the numbers, but the quality of posts from people just joining from the comp usually wasn't great. Are there any thoughts on improving engagement, maybe some type of education seminar or material to increase people's knowledge of how much raiding and chilling will actually help grow the bags and hedge market cap?
Yeah, it's a great question and great comment. So the short answer is, yeah, actually, I think that having something where there's an explanation of what raiding is about, and even maybe raid sessions, like either in VC or on X, wherever, are good ideas where you can kind of talk about it and actually raid live. Because that might be something that we can try to figure out a time to slot that in. Because even if it's like 30 minutes, it's pretty good to just get out there and do it live. So the tough thing is, not tough, the thing to know is when you see like people online, the amount of people that are online that will actually participate, like the percentage isn't very high, and that's no shade to anyone. That's not FUD against anyone. That's just like the nature of the beast. Even in other projects that are raiding as well, standard, if you see 200 people online, if you get like 30 people on the raid, pretty solid, honestly. That's not terrible. You're talking to like 10-15%. Now, it does vary community by community. But like the other thing that I'd say is competitions are good. Also, just like encouraging other community members. You know what I mean? What I found some of the best way to build community is just recognizing people's efforts for what they are. I've seen Nick, I've seen Cinna, I've seen Habibi Joe, I've seen Hedge Hodler out there shilling on spaces because that's where I live. And they deserve a lot of credit. So I make sure to get them some love, give them shout outs when I'm on stage, because they deserve it. They're out there grinding, they've earned it. And I think that creates a positive feedback loop because, Habibi Joe's out there working for his bag, but also all of our bags, everyone's, right? And so giving him some love and some feedback to say, hey, it's recognized, you're doing a good job. That's probably more beneficial, I'm honestly assuming, than winning $25 in a raid competition. The money's cool, and I'm sure that it matters to some people more than others, but like getting that type of social capital where people are giving you love and being like, dang, this person's one of the biggest hedge community members out there. I think that is a good way to keep the ball rolling and get more people to participate in raids. Because if you have that happening, if you have a situation where, people raid and they see in the Telegram that there's some love being given around, they want to join in. It's fun. That's why we're in memes, right? For the community. So it's a really good question. I think that I break it down more or less into one comment just on the amount of people online versus the amount of people participating. Like if you can get to 10-20%, you're doing pretty well, I'd say. And then also a way to do it without having it be giveaways or pay, I think is just giving that social capital back. Good job, this person did it. And that's why I really like the idea of some type of personalized piece of content. Technically, I guess you could say it's a giveaway, but really it's more just like a recognition of all your hard work in a very unique hedge focused way.
Thank you for the answer. I think we have another question for you guys, and it's what do you guys think the catalyst can be to reach all-time high? Do you think it's a sex listing, or let me say a CEX listing or a co-partnership or something else maybe?
I think the path is pretty simple. I think that the market's going to be pumping, and Hedge will capture that, like everyone will. And as it's capturing that, I do think that the catalysts. I mean, God, honestly, I think that we can get to all-time highs just from market sentiment turning and people recognizing what we have been building on Hedge. All these things that we've talked about, ratings, spaces, community members, everyone getting excited. Reddit will be going nuts. We could probably get to all-time highs without a significant catalyst. I mean, all-time highs is what? Like a 2x from here, a 2.5x from here?
It's 2x, yeah.
It's not crazy. It's a good question. But I think a catalyst like a sex listing, a centralized exchange listing, makes sense. It doesn't have to be the only thing. I've actually seen some projects really, go down after that for a lot of reasons. But if you get a CEX listing again from 35, that's very different than getting it from this point here. So it's a great question. I actually think the person's correct in saying what is the catalyst. I actually think of it as we have control to get it to 30, and then we have to get some type of catalyst to get it to that next leg up. That's how I'd say it.
Sounds good. I'm a crypto noob, so I'm gonna be honest. I have no clue what staking is, but there's a question saying don't know if it's possible at this point, but is staking a possibility? I don't know if maybe there's someone in the team or maybe Cine can give his opinion. I'm kind of out on this one.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any staking feature with us. I don't really think it's in the pipeline, but I don't know, maybe Riz or somebody, if they're around, they could speak on that.
I see the Hedge quarters is in the chat, but I don't know if there's anyone behind it, to be honest.
Hey guys, sorry, I am here. I'm just kind of in the background. I've had a few work calls going on. Yeah, I can answer that. So yeah, we've talked about staking before, and we've not really been able to offer it, obviously, because we've not had the sort of supply to give as the return on that, essentially. But I'd say now we are in a position where we could probably start offering that. We just need to sort of weigh up the pros and cons, basically, to doing that. Because you can imagine a scenario where, okay, we offer 5%, and then we get 100 mil hedge staked, and then it's suddenly 5 million hedge. That's what's that, like, I don't know, 50k, 55k at the moment. So we need to sort of figure out as a project whether that's something we want to do or use them funds for marketing or other cases, basically.
Hey, thank you, Dev.
But I'd be keen to hear what anyone else thinks of that, if there's any other examples of projects offering it and how that sort of went, because obviously it would be a great thing to have, just because it means that supply is kind of locked away and not able to be sold or traded. I see that as being a big positive. But yeah, again, I'd be interested to hear if anyone has any thoughts on that.
My main thought is it's kind of like anything. Like if you would have asked me, hey, do you think that we should launch an NFT? I'd have probably said no, because they always fail. But somehow Hedge was able to pull it off, and it's been wildly successful. To me, staking feels very 2020 bull cycle, but it has its pros, it has its cons, and it's one of those things where, like, if it's done well, it can provide value to the community and it can provide value to the team. So I don't want to say no, but I guess that I would want to study a little bit more about what projects have been able to be successful on staking, because many of the projects that I see that offer staking, it's again kind of like they're grasping at straws and they're just like, oh, let's hope this works. And like, Hedge is not in let's throw things at the wall and see what sticks mode. Like, the project is too solid, the foundation is too good, the community's already here, the team's strong. And I'm not saying that means staking is bad. I'm just saying that, like, it's much better for a project of this size with this type of following and engagement, it's much better for us to like pick the right things and execute versus, I'm telling you, man, I see some projects where they come up on stage like, oh, it's great. We've got this coming. 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 And you're like, any one of those 5 things can be good, but like, oh my God, that's so many things. You know, I talked about the Chuck community before. One of the things that they actually struggle with is they have too many things going on and it's a little bit disparate. And that's not, you know, it's cool. They've got all these things, right? I love the Chuck community. I'm a holder. But you can spread yourself a little bit thin. So I think it's a good question. I think that from my side, before I give an answer of either good or bad, I'd want to kind of look just a little bit more. But the cool thing is, like I said, I know that this team and this community have pulled off some things that I would have said, probably don't do that before. So, you know, I trust in the community and the team to kind of come to some of these decisions. And if they do, to execute it in a way that's a positive win for everyone, you know, where other products may fail.
I'll chime in really quickly. I think the reality of the situation is a lot of these projects that offer staking, especially at a later stage, they have failed to figure out a way to sustain their project, whether it's through marketing and whatnot. So it's a way to increase their ability and their flexibility to develop further aspects of the project. Hege has done a great job. Soka brought up the NFT and the NFT launch being so successful, but it built into the NFT is that buy and sell tax, which goes to obviously to fund the dividends of the NFT, which is super unique, but it also serves as a way to sustain the project long term on top of the already existing marketing budget. So long story short, I don't think staking is something that really necessarily attracts investors to the project. And at this point in time, I don't necessarily think that Hege is in this massive position where it's in need of an injection of funds to continue sustaining itself. Not to say, like Soka said, at some point in time, revisiting the staking idea could be a benefit. And I trust that. You know, one thing that I will say about the Hege team is they're super strategic and super methodical about everything that they do. We can tell that from the NFTs, like how they launched that. Again, I've never seen a meme project do what they did. So if they're going to launch staking, if they're going to add it to some capacity, they've flushed it out and they've worked out the ways that it's going to best, you know, propel the project forward. So again, not, you know, no shade to staking, but I just think that, like, as Headquarters said, you know, they got to really work out what's the true benefit there, and is it really worth the effort and the funds to do so.
Hey, thank you for everyone's input on that question. I think this is kind of a fun question for Crypto the Kid and Soka, and it's is Hege your primary and main focus now, since I know you're involved in a lot of other projects?
It's a great question.
That's
Yeah,
from
for sure.
Joven or Colvin.
Yeah, great question. And I'd say that Hege is definitely one of my main focuses. So, you know, it's hard for me to say it's the main focus because obviously I've got the Ponky badge deep ingrained into my blood. But I'd say that I'm nowhere near at like capacity for being able to really successfully support even more projects, to be honest. And that's why it's good that, you know, myself and Crypto the Kid were able to kind of tag team in a significant way. But if you were saying, you know, like, are you able to give 100% of your attention? The answer is probably not there. However, the good news is literally it's Ponky, Moo, Hege. Those are kind of like my biggest focuses right now. I do some spaces again for Nero. And Jinin is another project that I'm, you know, doing some support and some work for. But if you were to like carve out the hours of the day, Hege is probably getting around, you know, 30ish to 40ish% of the focus, especially right now, given where we're at and where I think that we're going to need to get to. So it's getting a significant portion of that. And this is what I do full time. So this is like, and it's not just, you know, some people 40 hours a week, at least in the States, that's kind of what we work. It's way more than that. I don't sleep. I'm all in. So like that 30 to 40% is potentially, 30 to 40 hours. So, if you look at it that way, it is kind of a full-time focus on my side. It's a good question. It's a fair question. And definitely there's a lot of work being poured in on Hedge because I believe in it. And again, I got to help get this thing to 100 mil to really make it a bang for everyone.
Yeah, and I'm not fully invested in all of the projects as a team member or whatnot that Soka's working with. So we do have a little bit of a splintering on certain projects like Ponky. I'm not involved in that deal. But particularly when it comes to Hedge, for me, yes, it is. It's one of the projects that I spend a lot of my time focused on because there's a few reasons. One, to be honest, like I actually enjoy being in the Telegram. I've mentioned that I've got to spend some time in other Telegrams, and they're either crickets or there's certain things. There's a project that I've been working with since the guy took it over as a CTO. I won't mention it simply because, or I guess I can mention it. This is all family in here. It's Dougie. And no matter what they do and no matter what we try, it's just really hard to get that Telegram active. So long story short for me, yeah, I do spend a lot of time on Hedge, but Soka and I are always looking for other projects that we feel convicted for, that we feel like have the recipe and the ingredients to go. We also spend a lot of time focusing on, like, Soka's really heavy in the spaces. So there's opportunities for other projects that we work with just to expose themselves via our spaces and the various things that we do. But when it comes to actually feet to the ground, brainstorming, Hedge is always a topic of conversation when Soka and I call each other. So I would say, like, my top two projects that I spend most of my time working on at the moment are Hedge and Jinin. And I think that's a particular reason is where the current MCs are at, the current communities are at, the current content being generated by the team. All of the things, all the ingredients are there. We're just trying to get it to that next level. Like Soka said, if we can get to 30 million and then we get a catalyst. Same thing with some of these other projects. We're trying to put a lot of our focus, and for me in particular, Hedge and Jinin are the two, where if we can get them to that next level, then it's the conversation with the team, it's a conversation with Soka, it's a conversation with the community. What are the catalysts in play to take it to the next level? So there's not a lot of other projects at the moment that are getting my attention like Hedge. That could change in the future, obviously. And if it does change, I hope it's because Hedge is cruising and it's in, and it's an autopilot and community is just, FOMOing in left, right, and center. So that's our goal.
Hey, thanks, guys.
And one final thought, one final thought real quick on that is, again, I've been pretty open about the deal structure, man. The deal structure is very incentivized to get to 100 mil. And so trust me, I'm going to be working pretty hard to make sure we can get there, because that's when we all win together, 100%.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that is that's how the deal is structured, because that's a big thing.
Yeah, there's an additional unlock at 50, but the 100 mil goal is really the one where it's like, that's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's the gold mine. The gold mine.
That's right.
Yeah, but for me personally, like, I think I speak for a lot of people in the Hedge community. We're really happy that both of you guys are on board and really helping us push this thing. I just want to check, is Dev still here? Because yeah, what's good, Dev? I have a question for you, and it's from N Hedge Hero saying, many Solana memes are near an all-time high or smashed through it already. A lot of calls pushing them, and it seems that that's the only way to get momentum plus new investors. Should we focus our marketing strategies plus funds more around calls? Thank you.
So I'll definitely take this one. Oh, sorry, Hedge, Dev, if you had it.
I mean, no, I'm happy for you to start. I can add in after if you want.
I would just say, I don't know which projects you're talking about, buddy, but like 99.98% of the projects that are on Solana are dead. They're definitely not at all-time highs. There may be a few very famous ones that are at all-time highs. Like, that's why I always go to Mudang, but look at Mudang now. Like SPX 960, what's SPX 960 doing? Like these projects, Ponky's not at all-time high. Ponky's down 50% from all-time high. Maybe a little bit better now, but like, and I don't mean to, you know, I'm not trying to like take you to task or anything like that, but this is something I think that's really important to address. It can feel like everyone else is doing something that we're not, and it might not be the reality. And like we can go through kind of what that looks like, but for the most part, if you feel like everything's smashing all-time highs, not my portfolio, and I own a lot of coins, man, and they are not anywhere near all-time highs. And so to answer the question specifically about should we be focusing on calls and things like that, of course, I think it's part of the strategy, and I think that there's some combination of things that can happen, but I think the team's already made a pretty significant commitment to the marketing agency, you know, bringing myself and Crypto the Kid on. We're just getting our feet wet, and it's going to take a little bit of time to really see that benefit manifest itself. Again, it's like more of a foundational build. You could get some big KOLs to make a call. They'll ask for supply up front. They'll ask for a bunch of money. They'll dump the supply on your head. And whatever run up happens, everyone will be high-fiving when we hit 20. And then there'll be sad pandas when we're right back down where we were before we spent all that money, because it's not foundational. You know, it's not something that can sustain. But it should always be a part of the strategy. That's kind of my thoughts and opinions on it.
Yeah, calls are definitely like, you know, like you've said before, like flash in a pan.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's no secret that, like, you know, for the first 6 months or so of Hedge, it's pretty much all organic and just sort of marketing efforts. And yeah, we didn't really use any KOLs. I think we used smaller ones on X. I think probably, to be honest, a lot of their followers were kind of botted, but you know, it was cheap and it was good exposure for us. But so yeah, we have sort of been mainly organic, which was sort of mentioned before. But you know, the marketing agency, you know, as part of the payment for them, they've worked some of that budget to deploy some KOLs as well. It's not going to be anything huge, you know. It's kind of small to medium size, but they do have influence. So that's being worked in, and that should be deployed over the next few weeks as well. And just on that, like as Soka was saying, you know, it's only been a few weeks we've been with a marketing agency and with Soka and Crypto the Kid as well. So we're just sort of easing ourselves into that and figuring out what the relationship is going to be. And we're working on a plan that will involve the marketing agency, the Hedge team, the community, and Soka as well. So it's kind of, it integrates it all together. But yeah, I think for the last few weeks, it's kind of been the marketing agency doing their thing, getting up to speed, and the same with the team and Soka as well. So yeah, we're working on something that will we can build a whole strategy on and all contribute to.
Thank you guys. Sorry, I had to go to the toilet real quickly, but I was hearing everything from afar. I think I have another question for Dev and Soka. Are you actively researching the marketing and overall moves Ponky made to bring them to where they are, since that's the field Soka should be useful for?
I mean, I am for sure. I lived it. I have still very deep connections, of course, with that team and on that team. And any question that we can have answered. There's definitely plans to get those two teams connected, the Hedge team and the Ponky team connected at some point, even if it's just for a broad overall, like, hey, kind of what worked for you from your perspectives. How did you make some of these things happen? But yeah, I mean, I'm, like I said, that's a team that I know extremely well. I'm on it. I talk to them constantly, similar to how I talk to the Hedge team constantly. So, you know, the answer is yes, we'll squeeze everything we can out of that relationship that they're able to. I don't like control those people. Of course, they're going to be, you know, having their own thoughts and opinions, and if they're able to jump on or not. But I do have some sway, and I am owed quite a few favors from a variety of people on the team, whether it's the people who managed the market making or the X account or the Instagram account, things of that nature. And they're all really talented and really cool people, and the vibe is very similar to the Hedge team. So yes, I'll be definitely trying to squeeze the most juice out of that relationship in a productive way.
Yeah. And I think from a content perspective as well, like it's no secret, Ponke kind of they're leaders in what they do in terms of brand building, character building, storytelling. It's all the best in the space essentially. So that's something that we've always aspired to and trying to build a similar kind of reputation, and that all comes down to sort of creating value for investors as well. When they come in, they see a brand, they see the character, and it makes them laugh, and that's what we're trying to do with the content basically is create that kind of dynamic that Ponke has.
Thanks.
And I think,
Thanks.
and I've said it before as well, but all that you can do all the marketing in the world, but at the end of the day, the project's got to show value and it's got to show quality. So you can have all the exposure you want, but at the end of the day, you've got to make people want to stay and not be here for a quick pump and then a dump, basically. So it's all part of the sort of long-term strategy we're trying to build here with Hedge.
Thank you, guys. I think I have a question for Crypto the Kid. Are you here? Yeah, Crypto the Kid.
I am here.
Let's go. So this is from JB. So we have seen recently that whales can have a pretty big impact. On one hand, you want to have whales to help the price. On the other hand, you want good distribution. How do we balance that?
I mean, that's a good question. To be honest, like whales, and if done right, whales generate hype and then it ultimately creates more holders, right? And so the idea of having a whale on board is obviously, you want to hold certain floors, you want to hold certain price action, and you want to propel the project up. I don't know for sure. This is just speculation on my part, but my guess is like projects like Mumu kind of knew in advance that With Whale was going to make that clip that they did, and it was going to be used as a publicity aspect to get people to jump into the project. And so I think having whales, I'm all about having whales because I feel like whales is better than market making. Whales are people that you can communicate with directly. Whales are people that you can strategize with and develop different game plans to reach certain milestones. And obviously whales will want to get their money out at a certain point in time, which is always a concern. And then obviously the biggest concern with whales is that when you invite these people into the project, they typically come with a timestamp, meaning like they want to be out at a certain point in time. And so you have to make sure that your strategy and the strategy that you align with the whale and the time frame that you align with the whale, it's working for everybody. Because if not, you can have projects killed by bringing whales in and not fulfilling or meeting their expectations. So again, it's relationships in your greater network that matter the most. And if your greater network includes whales that you trust, that you have this well-working business relationship with, then it is a good idea. But again, not a lot of projects have full access to whales at any given time, or at any time, so obviously the best projects, or in my opinion, the projects that will be most successful in the end, have a combination of very, very strong community and a few whales that can hold solid floors or step in and buy the chart up with profits that they've taken along the way. Because you also got to, most whales are pretty solid traders and investors, so they know how to sell and take profit without nuking the charts, without doing things to damage it. And they also understand the importance of holding certain levels on the way up. And that's where capital is redeployed and whatnot. So I am definitely, when done right, a big fan of whale activity. But I don't think it's the only thing that takes projects to certain levels. Again, there are many projects out there that have just been organic all the way up. I think one that comes to my mind instantly is Turbo. If Turbo on ETH, that would not have, because it's a CTO, that would not have, I know a little bit about it behind the scenes. They don't have a ton of whales that the team is working with directly to take it to, I think it's at $800 million market cap or 600, something right around there. But it's way up there, and that's just community driven. One thing that's different about Turbo than most projects is it's old. You know, it's over a year old. It's been grinding and nonstop grinding for that amount of time. So when it comes to whales, they can certainly propel you up the charts faster. But, you know, I think time and community are the things that really take projects to the ultimate level, and the level where you don't have to worry about a giant sell-off happening at some point because the whale wants to get out, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we've been quite fortunate with the whales, to be honest. Like, you know, I don't know if our definition of a whale is sort of different to yours, but you know, these are people with over 100K dollars sort of, you know, worth of hedge, and yeah, we've had a few that kind of kept us down before. We had an infamous whale called Musbu. That was his nickname because
MSB.
that was the sort of last four characters in his wallet. But you know, we were doing a big marketing stunt in the second or third month, I think, and he was acting super nice to the team, but actually in the background he had loads of wallets and he was basically selling off as we were trying to create a pump, which was it sucked. And then as soon as he sold, we went up to 30 million, which was kind of it's quite
like literally as soon as he sold, bro. The next week we ran to it. That's crazy to me.
Yeah. So, and then, you know, over the last month or so, you know, we've had a couple of whales that have been offloaded, and we've tried to contact them. We know who they are, but they basically just send radio silence on their social platforms and everything. So, yeah, we can't say whether it's related to the project itself or they're just done with crypto. Like, yeah, we don't know. But you know, that's nearly over now, which has kind of been quite frustrating, and it's holding us back a little bit. And we've not sort of publicized that because we don't want to scare anyone. But yeah, the good news is that's sort of like coming to an end now. Their supply is pretty thin, and we've kind of weathered that during some kind of crappy market conditions, which is is great to see. So
and we've been holding the floor as well, quite really strongly while they've been offloading. So that's a positive.
Yeah, exactly. You know, one of the whales, I don't want to say exactly how much he sold, but you know, it's got to be over 200K at this point, probably more actually. Yeah, and we've just held strong through all that. So yeah, that's been good to see. But yeah, I do agree. I think we've been fortunate as well, just to we've got Discord groups where we sort of have all the whales in, everyone who's donated hedge as well, and yeah, we've got good communication with them. But yeah, of course, there's always going to be some that you can't get hold of, or they've got not got the right intentions, basically.
Thanks. Bro, is it just me? I love it when Dev speaks, bro. Guy has such a soothing voice. Anyways, we have another question for Soka and CTK. What have you done for Punk and other partners that you believe have been effective and could work for us? Do you think a partnership among several coins would be beneficial to lifting legit projects above the cabal shit coins we're seeing? Strength in numbers. Thank you, JB.
Yeah, I mean, so always a good question, and I think that there's a variety of things that Ponky has done successfully that Hedge is already on the path to doing. By the way, it's a smart, talented, dev team and core team behind the scenes, and they're making many of the right moves and working really hard. And even if it's something that you're not seeing firsthand, like it is happening, which is really cool. So the things that Ponky did, of course, was really on the animation side, being multi-platform, and being able to take advantage of some of their really strong social engagement. And I think Hedge is well on the path to being able to do the same thing. Again, for me, it's about getting Hedge where it needs to be in terms of our community and building that foundation so that as we get more attention to Hedge, we're converting more of these new eyeballs into holders. And that I think will be significant. And I think that that's something that Ponky did a really good job of. Partnering with other coins, always a great idea. Look, man, if there's projects that will partner, that's always good. I know Ponky specifically, they don't really like partnering with other coins. They just kind of do their thing. This has been something that they have said no to kind of consistently across the board. But there's a lot of other projects, and I think it's good to cross pollinate with communities. And like, it's part of the reason why when I run spaces on X, I like to have multiple tickers up there. It's not just to like bait those communities in, but it's good if someone in the Ponky community or the Mumu community or the Nero community hears about Hedge and it's kind of like, what's going on over there? Well, then all of a sudden now you have a new lead on a customer who's going to come in and potentially be a holder, especially if the holders of those communities are strong. We're bringing in strong holders. So I think that partnerships with other coins, to varying degrees, can actually be pretty helpful. And we're already doing that in a very small way on X when we're hosting spaces by bringing Hedge in front of other communities.
That's awesome. Thank you. I think I have two back-to-back questions for Dev. One of them being, we have the marketing agency and a lot more going on, but I think more exposure on the short term is also good. Can't we have both, like a short marketing push, like we had in the past, to keep people engaged and to get new buyers who stay, and then with the marketing agency to sustain it for the long term? And that's from Newman. Oh, I think I don't know if Dev is here actually. So, do you want to give your opinion?
I can quickly give my thoughts on this. So we've actually talked about this with the team, and I don't think that they'll be opposed to me sharing my opinion, which is just an opinion, and I think it's the one that we kind of came to, was the market conditions are such that they're not good for a short-term marketing push. Your intuition's correct. A short-term push and then also like focus on the long term. You have to focus on both, but those short-term pushes have to be at the right time, or else it's like just wasting money. There's a reason why big exchanges like a Robinhood, a Coinbase, a Binance, etc., when you are listed there, you have commitments on how much you have to spend in marketing, and they're not small. There's like big fee. There's a lot of fees that go along with this kind of stuff, and it's because they know no one's going to spend money if the market's down, so they force you to spend it so that they can keep their revenues up. So your intuition's correct. The short-term marketing push, though, to help push the market cap up, it's got to come at the right time. And when we talked about it, and I don't remember, maybe it was a week ago, I want to say late last week, the kind of discussion was around, was it the right time? My opinion was that it wasn't. Obviously, Bitcoin's now at 68. It may be the right time today. It may be the right time next week. It's something that the team's thinking about, though. So your intuition's correct. Short term and long term, you can do both for sure. It's not like an either or, but there are limited resources. And if you use your short term funds in a market that isn't going to materialize, well, then you're just wasting money. And that's the conclusion that we kind of came to. But it's a good question.
Thank you. Sorry, I was just checking something real quick. I think we have just like 2 or 3 more questions, and then we'll be done with the questions. Let me just go back to the hashtag. How's everyone's Wednesday going, anyways?
Going. How's it going?
It's going, man. It's definitely going. Let me just check Town Hall. Question. Oh, I think, yeah, he just answered that one about the collabs. I don't think Punk really does collabs, so we'll be skipping that one.
I mean, they might with like a other really big project, like
Oh,
a Brett
so
or something like that.
so let me ask the question then.
If Hedge gets there, maybe. Go ahead.
It was like the question for Soka: how close are we to a collab with Punk? And if not that close, what can be done to achieve it?
Not that close. Get to become one of the hottest meme coins and get that market cap, north of 150 mil, and I might be able to make some things happen. But even Mumu, when they were running, I was trying to make some stuff happen for Mumu when they were sitting at above 200 mil, and the Ponky team, when I was trying to make that happen, said no, we're not doing that with Mumu. Not because they don't like Mumu, just because they didn't think it was good for the Ponky brand. So I'd say that it's possible. We're far away, but don't worry, it's not a knock against Hedge. And it's not like Ponky, trust me, man, I love Ponky, but it's not like they're the only ones out there in the world, right? Maybe there is a Mumu connection because Mumu's a little bit looser with their partnerships. It's possible. There's other opportunities. Ponky, of course, is one that I love, and I understand why that's the one top of everyone's mind. But they're not the only fish in the sea. We can have a lot of partnerships.
That's awesome, and yeah, bro, I can't wait until 100 mil, and we just partnership with Punk pushes us to like 150, and then another thing happens. Bro, I'm so like bullish on all of this. To be honest, I'm all in on Hedge personally, like, but maybe it's the best thing I'm gonna do. Maybe I should spread it out a bit more, but I mean, conviction is key, and my conviction is in Hedge.
Yeah, I'm looking for Hedge to blow up so I can become a whale, and then I'll diversify a little bit. But keep my Hedge bags to rip first,
Let me see. I think the final question, I've saved this one for last, to be honest, because I wish we had a team member here, but maybe Soka and Crypto have some behind the scenes on this. Dev mentioned something about Binance. Does anyone want to give a little bit of tease about what's going on with the Binance thing?
I don't know anything about
Wait,
Binance for sure. That's a team question.
You don't know anything? Oh, damn.
I don't know. I don't know, man. This is not my my
shit.
thing.
So maybe
I'm
we
not,
should
no,
say.
No. I'm not being coy. Ask a team member because I have not heard anything about that.
Oh shit! Then maybe we should stay quiet. We should stay quiet then. Yeah, we'll stay quiet.
Yeah, still under wraps right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's all the questions. I hope I haven't. Oh, what does Hedge team think of the community doing Hedge themed artwork? Simple question.
I think that's a good question for the team. For me, that's great. I think it's really cool, but I don't know if the team has
for you guys, I don't think there's any more questions. So I think we've covered it all up until now. I mean, if you guys want to give any final thoughts, that would be good.
Soka and Crypto the Kid, are you guys going to be coming to the 100 million party in London?
Oh, that's a good question, actually. We're going to be turning it up.
I will. I will be there because my wife is looking for any excuse to go to London. She loves the city. I love it. It's a pretty cool city. But yeah, she's looking for any excuse to be in London. So let's make it happen.
Perfect.
Bro, we're all gonna be there. It's gonna be packed, so it's gonna be crazy. We actually got a quick question in. Another quick question. If Punk won't partner with other projects, what specific individuals can Soka bring over to advise Hedge? Looking for names here. Detective Chris.
Looking for names?
Yeah, Rose going hungry, bro.
Damn. All right. Well, here's their driver's license numbers. Here's their thing. I mean, for me, there's a lot of individuals who I think are reasonable. I'm not being coy when I say like they're mostly behind the scenes people. But I can say this, that I can definitely connect with direct members of the Ponky team, the Mumu team, the Nero team, like some of the projects that are doing really well. I can definitely connect. And again, I can't force them to do anything, but at a minimum, I can call in some favors and bring them over and get their advice, or I can just talk to them and deliver some of this as well. In terms of like, as we really start to grow, there are some KOLs who I believe are really solid, who as we grow, we could potentially pitch to bring them on to give that like extra push. Like if we get to 30 mil, then you bring on a couple KOLs that actually do have some market moving capabilities. And they might not be too expensive, especially at that point when we're at 30 mil and the supply is looking pretty strong. I can help bring some people in there as well. I'm pretty tight with, if you want names, Henoch's an amazing guy. He's an influencer who I really trust. Travlad is an influencer who I very much trust. He's really good, high quality. Obviously we run a show with Jake. Like there's a lot of really cool people out there who are not just going to cheat and dump on us. And that's something that I think is most important. So, I know you didn't get exact names on the people who are on some of these teams with Mumu and Funky, but and Nero, but I don't know if I can give specific names because some of the people are not doxxed necessarily as even being members of that team.
And I think that answers also like a lot of questions about people asking, what's Soka going to do? What's he going to bring to the table? How's he going to help Hedge grow? And I think you basically just summarize it really quickly in 30 seconds. So, yeah, happy to have you and Crypto the Kid both on board.
Yeah, and again, like, sorry, I was mid bite. I'm trying to grab some.
Hey, when you got a munch, you got a munch, bro.
But the other thing that is like, one second, this is almost all right. Apologies, but the other thing is like, these are fair questions, dude. I love communities that are protective of the project and the supply and the marketing budget and all of these things. So the questions are like, well, what are you going to do for us? I don't take offense to them. They're great questions, and I hope to be able to make sure that everyone's like, damn, Soka's putting in work for Hedge. Cool. And also the structure, I'm telling you, is pretty back weighted towards hitting certain goals. So it's like it's not no risk, of course. There's some like upfront stuff that happened and just to like keep the lights on and things like that. But really, my goal is 100 mil, and not stopping there necessarily, but like that's my first thought is how do we get it to 100 mil? So if we don't get to 100 mil, the like cost or like the drain on Hedge, for example, it's not like, oh, sorry guys, now I'm out and I took all the money and I'm gone and you guys are all. That's definitely not how it's gonna go. If for whatever reason it didn't work, it will, trust me. But if it didn't, it's not like I made out like a bandit on this. So that structure is really cool. It's something that I agreed to because I believe in Hedge and I think that it can actually get there, or I would not have agreed to it. So great questions, and those are my thoughts on some of those. They're good questions. I like them. Keep them coming for sure. But like those are some of the things that I can do. And also, if I'm not able to, I'm not going to be getting much benefit from it. So.
Hey, thank you, Soka. And yeah, we know you're gonna give your all to help Hedge and to really push us through. Any parting words, Crypto the Kid?
Just that I'm grateful to be a part of this project. Again, when Soka first mentioned it to me and showed me everything that he was bullish on with Hedge, the more I learned, the more I got convicted as well. Again, I just thank you guys for welcoming both Soka and I, but particularly me in the Telegram group. It's been fun. I've really enjoyed hanging out in there. I will continue to enjoy hanging out there. And one of the things, like Soka said, we've got unlocks later on. But one of the things that I'm going to be really focused on is, it's not just what Soka and I can do for the project, but more so in like the context that we have in order as we grow and who we can introduce Hedge to. But it's also, being here to let you guys know, like, hey, you guys are doing a good job, and to keep community sentiment high, and to obviously share in the victories and the spoils with you all, because this is, like Soka said, this is a project that we're both convicted on. Like, we wouldn't be here otherwise. We've got a very, very small list of projects that we work this closely and intimately with. That list we do expect will grow, but it's hard. To put it lightly, like, we don't just work with every single project that throws us offers. We figure out, okay, what are the ones that we really want to work with, and we sought out Hedge. I know Soka sought out Hedge, so we see a lot of potential here, and we want to take it to that next level. It's all the ingredients are here, so I'm just very stoked to be on board, and very, very grateful to you all for welcoming me in the Telegram group. It's been a lot of fun.
Bro, for sure, bro. We are very grateful for having you in the Telegram. Any parting words, Cine?
Nah, man, just feeling bullish as fuck. I think this has been, it's been teased a bit in our team chat, but there's a lot of whales that are waiting for us to break the like 18 mil barrier. And I know I've said this before, but I think the like after we breach a certain level, the 17 to 18, we're gonna rip violently to all-time high and well past it.
I like that, bro. Yeah, I'm super bullish, man. I'm really excited seeing, Bitcoin pumping and seeing what's gonna come after that, to be honest. I think this is a good time to wrap it up. 2 hours of pure, what do you call it? What's the word? Alpha.
Alpha.
And yeah,
That's right.
alpha and just bullishness. Thank you, Soka, and thank you, Crypto the Kid. Thank you, Cine, Dev, and everyone for listening.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks for coming to our first ever town hall.
Yeah,
it
thank
Yeah,
you
thanks.
guys for hosting.
super
For sure.
fun,
And
to be
Habibi
honest.
Joe and Cine, thanks, man. Yeah, super fun.
Yeah,
Really
thank
good.
you, Soka.
All right, much love, guys.
All right, guys. See you
All
later.
right.
Bye bye.
See ya. Meeting adjourned.
Yeah.